see a wine tasting being set up, so I have a lot of stuff to cover here. I took a little different approach. I'm looking at water, energy, and solid waste, so if I start to run out of time, you can just follow up with me in Q&A. So San Diego Airport, last year, 2016, we hit a milestone. We accepted over 20 million passengers in the terminals at the airport. You can think of that as like filling up Qualcomm Stadium every single day for the entire year. That's how many passengers move through the terminals. So the airport is a really interesting place in that sustainability is baked into the core values of the airport. About a year and a half ago, the executive team and the board of directors actually hammered out a definition of sustainability, and it used the term enduring and resilient, and it talked about sustainability in the triple bottom line very specifically. So it makes practitioners like myself, my job easier when I have that kind of support from the top down. And so what you're looking for is a trend in this. The words don't matter, but I thought starting this profit section that I would start about talking about what really drives, what's a big driver at the airport, and it's really this cost per enplanement metric. So the takeaway is you want to be as far on the left of this graph as you can. You don't want to be on the right. When airlines are looking at different airports for service routes, they look at cost per enplanement as a key metric. And so we are a business. We have to be competitive. There's a lot of competition in Southern California. So you want to keep this cost per enplanement metric down. And so we try to do this in many different fronts. What you're looking at now is an energy graph of where we've been 2015. It's basically the same in 16. And this is an energy usage by facility. And so the line, what you see, this line here, this is our EUI, or energy usage intensity. And so we've been really trying to bring that down, and that's really our success metric. That's how we can do more with less. In this terms, less is energy. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk through a couple energy opportunities, talk about water briefly, and then I'm going to talk about some solid waste. And I'm going to do all that in about 12 minutes. So the airport has 5.5 megawatts of photovoltaic solar, and so that represents about 20% of the energy needs at Terminal 1, 2. It also represents about a $3 to $8 million energy savings over the life of the power purchase agreements. So battery storage is another thing that we're pursuing right now. We are about ready to go to RFP in the next couple months. And so this is a topic on profit, and so really battery energy storage is a way for us to work smarter and not necessarily harder. So with that 5.5 megawatts that I just showed you in the previous slide, we are not a net exporter, so we can't just sell power back to the grid. There's only so much that we can do with that power that we generate, so we need to figure out another use for it. So what you see here, that is our peak at about 6 a.m. That's when the airplanes fire up in the morning, and that's a big part of our demand charge. And so battery energy storage helps us be more profitable by being able to shave those peaks in our energy demand, and so that one 15-minute interval can really impact your operations, throughout the year. It can really haunt you. And so battery energy storage is our way to not only shave those demands, which can be about 60% of a commercial energy bill, but it also enables us to do other things with solar. So we could, get more solar on rooftops and do something with that, generate and consume it on site. And another nice thing about battery energy storage, the models, the biggest model you see out there right now or a compelling model is shared savings. And that's where someone will drop a big battery at your facility, and then they will take a slice of that revenue, the peak demand that they saved, and they'll split that money. That's kind of the incentive there. So some rough calculations: 9% of our electric bill savings could come from battery energy storage, and there's incentive money for this. You're going to hear me say that again and again. that it's all about doing, recognizing market signals and doing the right thing at the right time. So again, energy opportunities. We have some capital projects around lighting, interior and exterior to the airport. There's a rough calculation, estimated annual energy savings of almost $500,000. One thing that we're working through is how to get the runway lights, LED as well. This is basically rebuilding a process while you're right in the middle of operations every single day. And so the airport lights are on about 18 hours a day, roughly. That's whenever the airport is operational. And so tremendous savings there that can be generated. But, you got to think about the safety and the pilots and things like that. It's not a slam dunk, but it's definitely, well, it is a slam dunk. It just takes some work. Couple of transportation opportunities. The airport is looking, so all the ground support equipment, when you look out your window in the airplane, most of that, the majority of that is not owned by San Diego Airport. It's the airlines and their subs. And so we are trying everything we can to create incentives for our airlines to green their fleets. So we're about 24% electric fleet right now. We are helping them. We're working with San Diego Gas and Electric, working on grants, incentives for the GSE. And we're also looking at, we're in a procurement cycle for new buses. And so we may not be able to purchase 14 new electric buses. We might only get some of that, but there's reduced operations and maintenance costs. There's anecdotes that a tech can take care of more electric buses than traditional, certainly diesel, but CNG as well. So again, there's grants and incentive money there. Water opportunities. So what you see here is a rendering of a new parking plaza that's going in right outside of Terminal 2. If you've been down there, it's a work in progress. This parking plaza has built in a water catchment system, and the idea was to build it from the outset. It's much easier than a retrofit, and that has the capability of storing up to 150,000 gallons of stormwater. Over the lifetime of, or 1 year, we're anticipating that's about 1.5 million gallons we could capture. And again, this is a stormwater compliance issue as well, because everything that we send to San Diego Bay, we try to avoid sending anything to San Diego Bay. And so the metric that we talk about internally is $37,500. That's the cost per infraction per day for water issues. So we try to move water around as much as we can around the airport. On your left, you see a 55-gallon bucket that catches air conditioning condensate from the jet bridges. We, in 2016, captured roughly 103,000 gallons of AC condensate. And what you see in the middle there, this is how we're currently shipping it around for other uses. This is kind of V1, if you will, pilot project. We hope to, as we rebuild around the airport, to build water movement into our operations. What you see here is called a Zen valve. You put that on the point of water at your meter, and it doesn't actually reduce your water usage or anything like that. What it does is it creates less air in the line, and so you're actually billed for the amount of water you're actually using. You're not billed for water and air. So when you talk about profit and you talk about zero waste, for me it's what could we do with money that we're currently writing, for a water bill we're not actually using. And then here, Zero Escape in about 1,000 square feet. We did this last year. We're able to save just about 70% of our water usage in 1,000 square feet of Zero Escape. And we're moving around the airport trying to do that everywhere we can. This might be hard to see, but we're trying to quantify, and I specifically wanted to throw some numbers at you guys because this is the profit track. So the cost savings, what we did is we took the number like $46 that per ton that would go to the landfill, and we threw it into our different material types. You can see Kaminga Recycling produced some good savings. We heard a lot about food waste. We have, in 2016, it was like 340 tons of food waste. So the cost savings is not really the metric that we look at, even though I'm talking about it. We do post-consumer waste in the terminals. We also do food donation programs. You can't really see, but that's our USO. We've donated about 7,000 meals in 2016 as a result of this program. So it's really closing the loop. And we see some pictures from Miramar Greenery here. This is when we actually turned the corner and got thumbs up from the city that we could, just keep moving forward on that front. So lots of great activities in waste reduction. In 2016, we had roughly a half dozen major capital projects around the airport. What you see now is actually that parking plaza, the rendering I showed you earlier. This is what you're seeing. We recycled about over 17,500 tons of C&D waste. And so we actually built into our design specs or build specs that the contractor has to deal with that and recycle that stuff. And so the 90% is the number we're using. As you can see here at almost 100%, we're exceeding that. And so I'm interested in talking to anyone about certifications for this type of thing. One thing we're doing that's really enabling us to recycle a lot is soil. As we embark on all these projects, we don't want to ship good dirt off the airport property at a cost, only to have to bring it back on at a cost for future projects. So we're actually setting up as we're rebuilding. I don't know if you guys know, but Terminal 1, in the next 7 years will be rebuilt. The airport is basically being raised and rebuilt simultaneously in its humble 661 acres. So we're building a dirt accounting, if you will, where soil from one project will be placed in kind of a buffer zone and then used for other projects. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about wider carbon reduction strategy or opportunity that the airport is very excited about. San Diego Airport started this Good Traveler carbon offset program, and to date, we have offset over 11.5 million air miles, which you can see the metrics, what that equates to in terms of water or CO2 equivalent offset. We have now 8 other partner airports have joined San Diego Airport. So we have everyone from Dallas-Fort Worth to Seattle-Tacoma to Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. We have 9 partner airports that are all working to figure out how we can sell these offsets at the terminals at the point of travelers going through. And the Good Traveler also works on a bulk carbon purchasing or offset purchasing. We are looking for a way to get offsets more cheaply for the 9 partner airports that are part of the program. So collectively, we can touch 260 million passengers annually. And we have at least 10 regional partners, lodges that we've heard today, and other points of destination to help sell the Good Traveler carbon offsets at their locations. This is our total savings, back of envelope, total back of envelope, somewhere in roughly, $2.5 million annual savings, cost savings from those initiatives.